Something important to keep in mind, there are no recent trademark filings by From Software, Sony Computer Entertainment America, or Bandai Namco of a mysterious nature. Also, no mention of Sony Japan Studio on the teaser. As we had been expecting, From Software gave us a glimpse of their upcoming title during 2017's Video Game Awards. A short and tantalizing clip revealed nothing but Shadows Die Twice. What does this mean? Could this be a new game or Bloodborne 2, or is it something else like Shadow Tower? In this video, we'll put together everything we know and attempt to solve that puzzle and answer those questions. Why it could be Bloodborne 2. Before we analyze the quote, Shadows Die Twice, let's first evaluate the small video clip and see what there is. The clip looks to be a winch tightening, but for what purpose is unclear. The winch looks to be made of bone and is covered in blood. The first thing you deduce from it by looking at it is that it's old, circa the 17th, 18th, or 19th century probably. Between the blood on the winch and the time period, players will automatically think Bloodborne 2. These two things in tandem are the most compelling argument for the sequel right now, but you can check out some other arguments in this video. Now, focusing on the instrument at hand, is it a torture device or a weapon? Have you considered that Gurman is actually missing his right leg, and does that bone look like a leg bone to you? Although some speculate the old hunter bone is actually his leg rather than his apprentice's, this could be a rather interesting twist for a hint in an upcoming sequel. Once you dive into the quote, Shadows Die Twice, things get a bit murkier. Is it possible From Software was referring to the fact that you must kill something twice in order for true victory? A shadow is a well-known enemy type from RPGs, and they're even present in Bloodborne as a boss. It is also a common theme where shadows or viewing shadowy shapes can cause nightmares, which are of course the center point of Bloodborne. On further inspection, you see writing in the background that is calligraphy form of kanji. This would seem to indicate that the game takes place in either China or Japan. Placing a game in China or Japan during this time period doesn't 100% negate the idea that this is Bloodborne. The Old Hunters DLC did have an Eastern NPC in Old Hunter Yamamura. His garb reads, Garb of a distant eastern land, worn by Yamamura the Wanderer. This eastern warrior pursued a beast for honorable revenge, then became a hunter of the League. But when he stared straight into impurity, it drove him mad. So, as Souls games often do, Bloodborne has Eastern elements added, albeit in a very tiny quantity. None of this confirms it is Bloodborne 2, but it is clear that From Software wanted some people to think that it is. It would be a clever way to market a new game and create hype. With all that said, remember that there was a rumor that Sony and From Software had a 3-game deal, which most speculated would mean Bloodborne sequels if true. However, the Demon's Souls servers shut down recently. Could this be a torture device in Boletaria? We'll have to wait and see. Why it could be Tenchu. Tenchu is a ninja game franchise made by From Software across many platforms, with their last entry coming in 2009. The reasons we think it might be a Tenchu game are as follows. Firstly, the kanji in the background during the clip suggests that the game takes place somewhere in China or Japan. The calligraphy background is ancient and purposefully obtuse, and Fex can only make out the tiger kanji, but is joined by other Japanese players in being unsure about the rest because the style of the script is so antiquated. Again, by dating the age of the winch and the calligraphy, we can see that this would be somewhere around the 17th or 18th century, which is close to the time period that the Tenchu games are set in, 16th century feudal Japan. So if we are off on our dating, which is possible, then these two things, time and location, make it seem likely. Secondly, the phrase Shadows Die Twice could refer to ninjas. It is not uncommon for ninjas to be called shadows, and indeed the title of the last Tenchu game was Shadow Assassins. Or it could be referring to the main villain in Shadow Assassins, who is Onikage, that is killed not once, but 2 times at the end of the game. Onikage literally translates to Shadow Demon. He is seen dying and then rising from the dead. Shadows Die Twice could be referring to that. Lastly, From Software is a confirmed partner for the Nintendo Switch, yet they have not produced a single title for this platform. This means that a future title must be coming for it, and seeing as how Shadow Assassins was released on Wii, no other title from Software to date has been released on a non-handheld Nintendo console. This is a great indicator that it is a Tenchu game. Keep in mind that a Dark Souls remaster for the Nintendo Switch may also be in the works and the reason for this partnership. Why it could be Shadow Tower. A somewhat compelling case could be made that it could also be Shadow Tower. Shadows Die Twice could be referring to this From Software game made on PS1. We do know that From doesn't stray very far from their already beaten path, and it could be plausible for them to make another entry into this series. Here's why we think it could be Shadow Tower. Firstly, the trailer has a dark and gritty feeling to it which is very similar to Shadow Tower. In fact, there were many people that thought Bloodborne would be a Shadow Tower game based on early impressions and information we were seeing back when it was called Project Beast. Shadow Tower is a first-person dungeon crawler that was released on PlayStation 1, and it shares some similarities to the Kingsfield games, also made by From Software. Shadow Tower was a first-person game, and From Software has given some indication that the next game they release will also be available for VR. Since first-person games lend themselves well to this medium, it would be a natural fit for Shadow Tower. There is also a shortage of dungeon crawler VR titles, but we have a feeling more are coming. Where are you deep down? Remember that Armored Core is also in the works, and it would make a sweet VR title as well. There are many ways this could go, and knowing From Software, it's likely a deceiving preview. Within Fextralife, we are divided between a Demon's Souls remaster, Bloodborne 2, and a spiritual successor or a direct sequel to Shadow Tower or Tenchu. Will this game come to all platforms? Is it a Sony exclusive? We leave you with the following facts from where to draw your own conclusions. We know that From Software is working on 3 games, some of those are dark fantasy. One is weird, and one will answer fan expectations in a straightforward manner, and one is mecha, that is now confirmed to be Armored Core. From Software was hiring a console dark fantasy realistic creature and background temporary designer. If the title was a remaster, new creature and character design would be unlikely. Miyazaki-san has been hanging out with Sony's Shuhei Yoshida. The text "Shadows Die Twice" uses a slightly modified version of the same font used for the old Hunters. Want some more? How about Sony Computer Entertainment Japan's PR manager Yasuhiro Kitao changing jobs to From Software and tweeting, "It's still a bit far away, but we won't make you wait for a whole year." This is the person who managed a bunch of Bloodborne's promotions. Whatever it is, we know we're likely to love From's next game, and perhaps they will incorporate some of our out-of-the-box ideas. We are likely to get more information at PSX 2017 coming this month, so keep an eye on the blog for further updates. Well, what do you guys think? What are your thoughts? Share in the comments below.